It's a lovely morning as we welcome you all to today's papers review from BGI TV Current. It's a pleasure once again. My name remains Ige Olalekan, and in the studio I have with me.
My name is Morire Rabila Lawal, and it's a beautiful Monday morning, second day in the week. And I tell you, it's going to be a very good week as I wish to all Nigerians, those watching us live and those that will be joining later. I still want to let you know that every day is a new day with its uniqueness. May God Almighty crown our efforts as we about to start the newspaper headlines from BGI TV Currents. And with me, I'm having the Punch newspaper and the Vanguard newspaper.
With me I have Nigerian Tribune, the Nation newspaper, Vanguard, and Leadership.
On the first story on the Punch newspaper, I'm having the writer that says NLC shuns meeting with FG, electricity workers back strike.
And from the Nigerian Tribune, 10th NAS Leadership, Tinubu to meet opposition lawmakers Monday.
PDP wants Tinubu to make asset declaration public.
And from the Leadership, I have this. Manufacturers charges Tinubu on real sector revival for 1 million job creation targets.
Adeyeye knocks critics over Oshibajo's quiet Lagos return.
And from the Nation newspaper, subsidy, federal government okays action on TUC demands.
And to the Vanguard newspaper, same rider, NLC shuns meeting with FG, TUC 6 pay rise.
And also from the Vanguard, support for Akpabio's Senate presidency shaky, number of supporters dwindling.
Senate indicts AGF over failure to recover 910 billion naira short-term loan to MDAs.
Now we take you through the news in details. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu will be meeting with opposition lawmakers on Monday to select preferred members of the National Assembly to become principal officers. The meeting with opposition senators and House of Representative members will take place in the Presidential Villa, Abuja. The invitation sent out to them indicates that the meeting with the senators-elect will take place at 3 p.m. while the one with the members-elect will be at 5 p.m. That is according to the Nigerian Tribune.
From the Vanguard this morning, leaders of the Nigeria Labour Congress NLC yesterday shunned a scheduled meeting with the government officials over the removal of fuel subsidy and subsequent over 200% hike in the pump price of petrol until fuel price is returned to status quo. Following President Bola Tinubu's removal of the subsidy during his inauguration speech on May 29, scarcity of the product hit the citizenry nationwide as marketers hoarded and hiked the price of fuel. The rider states, subsidy, NLC shuns meeting with FG, TUC 6 pay rise.
And from the Leadership, manufacturers charges Tinubu on real sector revival for 1 million job creation target. Manufacturing stakeholders have charged the new president Bola Ahmed Tinubu to prioritize revival of real sector and textile industry if he must achieve his planned industrial revolution that is expected to generate 1 million jobs as he promised, noting that his planned creation of 1 million jobs would be a mirage without addressing electricity and multiple taxation. They appealed to him to create ease of doing business. This is even as he noted that the federal government should strive to bring down prices of foodstuff in order to prompt rising inflation, which has reached almost 40%, not minding the figure given by Nigerian Bureau of Statistics, and that is according to Leadership.
Ondo State Deputy Governor Lucky Ayedatiwa has denied ever raising his hands against his wife Oluwaseun. A civil society group, Society for Women Empowerment (SWE), has accused the Ondo State Deputy Governor of assaulting his wife Oluwaseun twice in the last 4 months. Its national coordinator of the group, Mrs. Damilola Charles, in a statement made available to newsmen in Akure, the city capital, accused the deputy governor of repeatedly beating his wife in the presence of his staffs and friends. The rider states, "Assault, I have never raised hands against my wife," Ondo's deputy governor states.
And from the Nation newspaper, subsidy, Federal government okays actions on TUC demand. A major step towards averting an industrial action over petrol subsidy removal was taken last night. The federal government said it would consider a list of demands by the Trade Union Congress (TUC), including a minimum wage increase and tax holiday. Yesterday's meeting was a follow-up to Wednesday's parley between the government and Labour over President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's pronouncement during his inauguration statement that fuel subsidy is gone. Following the speech, marketers raised the price of petroleum and Labour announced a nationwide strike to begin on Wednesday. Negotiations would continue tomorrow on the demand. The spokesman of the government team, Mr. Dele Alake, announced after the meeting. He said, Labour's demands are not impracticable. TUC President Festus Osifo confirmed tomorrow's meeting. Nigerian Labour Congress (NLC) leadership, which attended Wednesday meeting, failed to show up when yesterday it declared its intention to go ahead with strike on Wednesday, and according to the rider, subsidy, federal government okays actions on TUC demands.
Another story from the Vanguard this morning. The Senate has indicted the Office of Accountant General of the Federation over its refusal to repay short-term loans given to ministries, departments and agencies (MDAs) from special funds account totaling 910 billion naira. It uncovered these after investigation by the Senate Committee on Public Accounts, led by Senator Matthew Uhogire, Edo South, following the submission of 2017 Auditor General's report. According to the query, the loans in debt arose from special funds account totaling 910 billion naira and showed that the balance remained unpaid throughout the year, though they were designed to be short-term. The rider, coming from the Vanguard, Senate indicts AGF over failure to recover 910 billion naira short-term loan to MDAs.
And from the same Vanguard, strong indications have emerged that the aspiration of former minority leader Senator Godswill Akpabio for the Senate presidency is shaking, as supporters are said to have reduced tremendously. It was gathered yesterday that support for the former governor of Akwa Ibom State for the Senate presidency of the 10th National Assembly may have finally hit the rock, because more senators reportedly dumped his camp for Senator Abdul Aziz Yari and Osita Izasu led Senate Democratic Caucus (SDC), and that is according to the rider. Supporters for Akpabio's Senate presidency shaky, number of supporters dwindling.
I'm with the Punch newspaper again, and the rider is coming. The People's Democratic Party has called on President Bola Tinubu and Vice President Kashim Shettima to take a cue from the late President Umaru Yar'Adua by publicly declaring their assets as a demonstration of their determination to lead by example. The PDP stated this through its National Publicity Secretary, Debo Olugunagba, on Sunday. Speaking in a telephone conversation, Olugunagba said it was not enough for President and the Vice President to fill asset declaration forms and return same to the Code of Conduct Bureau just to fulfill the requirement of the law. If you want to lead by example, please follow by doing what the PDP is saying. I'm quoting, PDP wants Tinubu to make asset declaration.
Now, Moriri, let's come to think of it. I want to pick the headlines from the Nigerian newspaper, where we have the 10th Senate leadership, Tinubu meet with opposition lawmakers. If you look at it, you discover that the last Senate that we had, a lot of Nigerians see it as a rubber stamp Senate. Why? Because they tend to believe that, whatever the presidency takes to the National Assembly is what they approved immediately. But when we look at it now, it has always been a normal norms when you come to having different political parties gather up together in the National Assembly. But this time around, I think Bola Ahmed Tinubu is trying to take a bold step by meeting the opposition party, so that by the time he is able to liaise and to deliberate with them, maybe there will be a positive outcome, so that both different parties, all the different parties that we have in the Senate might work as one, as in to achieve a common goal. Because if you look at it, there is always a disparity when the APC say yes, the PDP will say no, Labour Party will say they might be neutral. But when it comes to decision making, I think, or what is your take on that?
My take on it is that the 10th Assembly should not be like a pawns who rubber stamped the whims and caprices of the executive. They should have consideration of the bills before them and the effect and importance and relevance of the bill to the citizenry. Not just any bill come forward, then you rubber stamp it by stamping and approving it without going into details. After approval, what are Nigerians expected to enjoy from this, and what are the changes likely to come out from these bills after getting approval? And secondly, the 10th Assembly should be watchful and mindful of their responsibilities and priorities by people who vote EU in, and it shouldn't just be there to accumulate wealth to your own self. Rather, be of good example. And it is a wake-up call from all corners that yes, the 10th Assembly should just watch it and always try to remember why they are there, and they shouldn't just remain a rubber stamp for the whims and caprices of the executive.
Okay. Now let's see. As these 10 Senates are trying to come up, as in they're about, forming their team, what will be your perception in the area of the previous experience we had in the previous National Assembly, whereby we have cross-carpeting, and there is this ideology people call jumpology, people jumping from one political party to another. By the time they see that, okay, maybe the policies and things are not really in their favor, they decide to move to other party. What do you see to that?
It's my own opinion is just that Nigerian politics is not grown. Is still having these bad eggs that are just after their own ambition, and when they feel unfavored at a particular party, they tend to move around, just like what happened to Peter Obi when he left PDP for LP. And I see no reason why the Labour Congress president, Ajaero, will come out to say they are going on a nationwide strike come Wednesday, just because the president in his speech, Bola Tinubu, stated that he has removed fuel subsidy. Ever since they've been paying for the fuel subsidy, what has been the measure of the relief Nigerians get, or even the Okada riders and the taxi or cab drivers or Uber drivers? What have they enjoyed from the subsidy so far since the last 8 years of the outgoing presidency, president of Muhammadu Buhari's administration? And secondly, I want to ask Ajaero this question: that if Peter Obi was to be the president, will he come out to speak the way he has just done immediately after the presidential inauguration speech? Because I learned that Peter Obi mentioned that if he assumed office as a president, he's definitely going to remove fuel subsidy, and there was no reaction, no agitation.
Exactly.
So why is it coming now? If not for the fact that yes, there is something as an ambition unknown to many citizenry. NLC is not just there to fight for labor growth and other things. I want to tell you that these are the shady characters that we need to kill and bury in this country. You shouldn't say because somebody is not your candidate, or this person is not your ally, or this person is not someone you want there, and the person just only... Nigerians are the ones disturbing Nigerians, and they are the ones killing Nigerians, because the president just mentioned that I have removed fuel subsidy. It did not direct all petrol stations or oil marketers to go ahead to increasing the pump price or hiking the pump price. If one of the oil marketers we have in Nigeria, Bovas, could grant an interview and say clearly that they have no reason why they need to sell their old market with the new hike price of 500 naira per litre or 520 naira per litre, that they still have old stock. How many of these marketers are genuinely God-fearing? Then number two, if the president has mentioned in his speech that he has removed fuel subsidy, I want to say that the next step should have been bring out these personnels in terms of monitoring units as regards these petrol stations we have across Nigeria. Take them out, by their heads or their head of units or unit head, make sure you go around cities, whichever petrol station is selling above the price, approved price. The first station, if I were the boss, I would say such fuel station should just go ahead and fill every of the empty cars around or the bikes around. Then you seize the license of operation. If things like this are done at least for a week, people will redress. They will redress and succor will come to Nigerians. Ordinarily, when Buhari was there and there was this fuel wahala and brouhaha, so many people lost their lives.
Exactly.
Are we starting to bring in confusion to this new administration by what Ajaros stated last week by saying this Wednesday they'll be going for a nationwide strike? Who calls for that? The nationwide strike that you are planning to go on for, what is the betterment? What is the joy bringing to Nigerians? If truly there is anything that goes with the name fuel subsidy, what happened to the money budgeted for fuel subsidy all over this time? Then if we are having about 5 refineries in Nigeria, which one is working? Our money will be used to export it, our money will be used to import it. Like now, if we are having like a million barrels of crude oil exported, coming in as fuel, gas, and to mention a few, how many of those crude oil refined as oil back to Nigeria is used accordingly constitutionally to all states in Nigeria and to fit where it ought to go to, if not some people hijacking all of these things? So Ajaero, to me, he should just go and redress himself and do the needful. He should take example from his predecessor, something Waba. I've forgotten the man's full name.
It's Waba.
Yes.
Yes.
So everything was done well. Go and check the likes of Adams Oshomole. But one problem in Nigeria is that at the moment you are still crippling, you start voicing for the voiceless. You start giving hope to the hopeless. But the moment the federal government gives you a kick,
Exactly.
you turn out to be something that, yes, you'll see the truth, and you may not be able to speak about the truth. You can imagine a minister at the last administration saying state's minister is not necessary.
Exactly.
Why can't he refund all of the salaries he gets paid? If truly he wants to convince Festus Keyamo, if truly he wants to convince Nigerians that yes, what he's saying, he truly knows and understands what he's saying. These are gibberish. For me, we should stop talking. Let us act and support whoever is there as a president or whoever is there as a governor. We should stop talking. It's enough. We've been hearing, we've been watching, we've been reading. Let's go into action and change the country for the betterment of Nigerians.
Again, let's look at it from this angle. If Nigerian refineries, I mean the local refineries, are not revamped and resuscitate, and just like what Kyari said the other time, the MD of NNPC, when he said that maybe since Dangote is coming up with his own refinery, we'll take everything to down. Don't you think Dangote is going to monopolize it? And do you think if they rely on Dangote, will that resolve the price of fuel reducing or increasing?
Number one, if everything is taken to Dangote for refining,
Yes.
we will have a succor that our crude oil is being refined in our country.
Okay.
That's number one. Number two, Dangote wouldn't enjoy any monopoly because we have a working FG, that's federal government system.
Exactly.
Definitely there's going to be an MOU.
Okay.
But if truly the federal government wants to work, if an individual can create or build a refinery existing in Nigeria, in Africa, even global recognition onto it, what stopped the federal government from servicing and making other refineries in Nigeria working? Because if Dangote is working, Dangote refinery is working, then the remaining 5 others are working, definitely all this unnecessary spending will definitely get stopped, and we'll have relief. You walk into a fuel station or gas plant, buy whatever you want to buy at affordable price, then you'll be fine. You'll be fine. I want to believe Dangote is not going to have a monopoly upon our oil or on our crude. So far, there's going to be an MOU They can't just say, okay, Dangote, go ahead and be refining our crude. No, it's not done. It's not done. How many of these individuals that are big names in this country who do not have refinery outside Nigeria? Some in Nigeria, some in Chad, and you're killing your country. But they turn Nigeria to be a burial ground. When they die, they bring them home to come and bury. I do not see anything like a monopoly coming up on our crude oil from Dangote.
Morire, the reason why I asked the question, if you look at, let's go down the memory lane, you discover that when we had Nitel in Nigeria, not until when the sector of telecom was deregulated, whereby we have the MTN, the Econet, and the rest of them, Nitel was Nigerian federal government owned company, and we saw what happened. To some extent, Nitel monopolized the telecom industry, and we saw that even despite the fact that it was run by Nigerian government, people find it difficult in terms of communication and other things. Then if you also come to the other area whereby we had look at PHCN then, when it was NEPA, we had the same problem. Not until when these disco jinkos, one is generating and the other one is transmitting. When they came in, at least we have a little bit of relief. So I'm also looking at it that possibly if they should rely so much on Dangote and without revamping those other refineries, I think, because I think it is very necessary that there must be competitors so that Dangote will be on his toes. Or what do you say to that?
Just like the first question.
Okay.
Your opinion may not go with the federal government's opinion or, let me say, a future opinion, okay, which comes from Dangote as having a monopoly over Nigeria crude oil. And secondly, it's definitely, let's just wait and see the operations of Dangote refinery towards towards this month's end. And I believe that the ICAN petrol, okay, will surely go down, let's say, middle of this month by its grace. So because so many people are yearning, so many people are crying, and there should be competition. You can't just rely solely on a refinery, which you just keep starting. So if truly Tinubu's administration wants to work, they need to work on our dead refineries, because some of them are even getting dilapidated, and it's not a welcome idea. But my question is, I wouldn't know if people care to give answers to it. They keep budgeting on refineries. No, nothing to show for it. It's so disheartening. People are just stealing money and without being checkmated. People are just stealing money without getting arrested for it. People are just stealing money without doing the needful. If truly you are sending me to school and you're paying my school fees, my duty is for me to perform in school. And even if I've been having misses or missing calls, or probably I've been having some setbacks according to my academics, I need to sit tight and do the needful. But for me, let's just wait and see, okay, under this month.
Let's check this headline from the leadership, and I think it's a good news if the president will have a positive reaction to it. It says, manufacturers charges Tinubu on rich sector revival for 1 million job creation target. Now, if we look at it, we've had a lot of, the past manufacturing firm like the textile industry in Kano, which is in the state of Comatose. We have the Ajaokuta Steel and the rest of them like that. But here, the manufacturing stakeholders have charged the new president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, to prioritize revival of the rich sector and textile industry. Look at it, most of the textile materials we are using in Nigeria, like woodens and the rest of them, what we had was that, from the report, we got them from Ghana and some other West African country. But what has happened to Nigerian owned local products? Or what is your take, if possibly, on this reaction?
The day we begin to appreciate what we have, the better for us. When we make use of our own thing, definitely we build and develop our economy and stop looking outside for what we have within us. Let's make use of our resources. Then I believe everything will be fine again.
From your end, what do we have?
The last story here coming from Ibadan, precisely as regards the crisis rocking Ibadan. Why I sacked auxiliary as PMS boss, Makinde breaks silence. Following the clash of interest that ensued between the former chairman of the disciplinary committee of the park management system in Oyo State Alhaji Mukaila Lamidi, aka Auxiliary, and Governor Sheyi Makinde. The governor has broken silence on why he sacked PMS boss, saying there can't be two governments in the state. The governor made his revelation on Sunday during a Thanksgiving service to commemorate his Omitotun 2.0 held at the Cathedral of St. Peter, Aremo, Ibadan. Recall that Makinde, through his ex-chief of staff, Shegun Ogunwi, last Tuesday announced the solution of the PMS headed by the former NURT boss. The rider, coming from the Vanguard, why I sacked Auxiliary as PMS boss, Makinde breaks silence. I love this silence that was broken by the governor yesterday, and I think I have idea about what has been happening in the capital city of Oyo State, Ibadan, where you see Auxiliary parading himself like an existing governor with convoys of so many vehicles causing obstruction, gridlocks in the major roads and paths, and violence from the boys killing of each other, claiming junctions to junctions. I see no reason why all of this mess is happening. And if the governor had nothing on his mind by using the sacked PMS boss, Auxiliary, during his first time as a governor in Oyo State, I believe interest broke out between them. That was why this thing came up. And it's just giving us this answer that, yes, he's claiming that there can't be two governments in a state. And from here, I would want to call it a wrap that, yes, it's been a wonderful ride from our studios, BGI TV Current, and interesting stories that we've talked about. You should definitely go to watch the video for those who are just coming up, or probably who might just flick through BGI TV Current to watch all of the newspapers headlines which were treated today. And the last story from my side is surely coming from Ibadan, or your state capital. I am wishing everyone to have a lovely, beautiful week ahead.
And I also want to thank everyone for watching the program today. Please, if you enjoy it, join us tomorrow. My name remains Ige or Lalekon. Have a wonderful day.